we're very lucky today to have Karen Newquist with the Bureau for Private Post-Secondary Education at the Department of Consumer Affairs to come and talk about the Bureau's enforcement program, which is relatively new. It literally has been staffed up and is rolling out with, I believe, a couple hundred compliance letters that have gone out with attachments for schools to send back, and then they'll have their announced visit. And Karen's here today to basically kind of walk us through that process. She is the manager of the enforcement unit, so she is the key person in all of this. So let's give a big CAPPS welcome, Karen Newquist.
Well, thank you. I hear you had a lot of fun last night. It's good to see everyone's awake. Hopefully you won't nod off while I'm up here talking. I'm going to start out with a little story. My youngest son, Darren, he's the youngest in our family, and he's quite a bit younger than the rest of his siblings. He's the first one that wanted to go away his first year in college. He wanted to live in the dorm life, so his senior year he got accepted at University of Pacific. And he was excited. He had a friend that had also applied. They were both excited. They were going to be roommates in the dorms. But then his friend didn't get accepted. And as his senior year wound down and the imminent day of his university life was coming up, anxiety was setting in. He didn't know what dorm life would be like. He didn't know what to do to prepare for school. He didn't know what the exams were going to be like. He didn't even know if he should bring a backpack or not. He was worried about going from one end of the campus to the other and not making it in time. How would he be evaluated? So he wasn't prepared. He wasn't ready. But what a wonderful thing this school did for us is they had an orientation weekend where parents and students can go together. Well, at least that's what I thought. We show up there, and they immediately separated us. All the freshmen were taken to the other end of the campus. They spent the night in the dorms together. All the parents were taken to the opposite end, and we all had our own classes or orientation we went through. But the bottom line of all that, at the end of a day and a half, both Darren and I felt much better. We felt like we knew how to prepare him so that his first days and his life on that campus would be good, that he wouldn't be floundering, he wouldn't be scared to death. And so I tell you that story because I'm here this morning in the next hour or so to hopefully help prepare you for the compliance inspections, because as you all know, they've rolled out at the 4th week of August. Some of you have already been notified and are undergoing compliance inspections. So I'm going to prepare you for that, tell you what you need to know to be prepared and where you can go to get the answers that you need and for your questions. I also want to tell you what drives me, what drives our enforcement section there at the Bureau. As you know, the Bureau was gone for a couple years. In that time, we've had some wonderful schools pop up. We've also had some schools that should not have come to fruition. And we also have some existing schools that we have issues with. But what really drives me is that I have a passion for people, for individuals who want to better themselves, who want to improve themselves, whether it be through education, and in this particular case, it is education. They want to do better for themselves, for their family. They're willing to put in that extra effort and money to do so. I have a high respect for the institutions that provide that for them, that provide them the good education that they're looking for, that provide them the skill sets they need to improve in life. What I don't have a respect for are the schools that flagrantly violate our laws, who do not want to even try to come into compliance or who are trying to sneak under the radar. We have a motto in our enforcement section, and that is investigate vigorously. That means we don't wait until we have multiple complaints against a school. We are investigating, and we are also inspecting comprehensively, inspecting that the institutions are complying with all the minimum requirements that are put out there in the education code and our correlating regulations. So it's investigate vigorously, inspect comprehensively. And I don't say this as a threat to any of you, because this is a good thing. This is a good thing for those of you who want to know what our laws are, come into compliance, and make sure you're operating the way you should be according to education code and our regulations. Who it's bad for are those institutions that are not coming into compliance, who don't want to come into compliance. Those are the ones we're really going after. I don't like it. They're out there ruining your reputation. They're out there making a mess of the whole thing, and it looks bad. So that's what we're here for. We're here to investigate vigorously and inspect comprehensively. So today I'm going to go over the compliance inspections. Not everything we do, but the compliance inspections, because I hear that's what everyone has the questions on. And what I hope by the end of this hour you'll all take from this is you will have the knowledge of what to expect, where to go to get more information, and to be prepared. Because it's better to prepare ahead of time so that when your turn comes up, and your turn will come up, that you'll be prepared and ready to go. Okay, so let's get started. Let's see if I could do this. Oops. We're missing a picture here. The first picture actually shows someone with their head on a desk, buried in paperwork, because that's my vision of what, from a lot of phone calls I'm getting, that a lot of you are out there feeling when you get that first letter about our compliance inspections. So after today, that's the picture you're supposed to see after I tell you what our agenda is for this morning, that you're going to be feeling a little more confident, more closer to that than the person with their head on their desk. But today I'm going to cover the difference between a compliance inspection and a complaint investigation, what our legal authority is, why we perform these compliance inspections, the two types of compliance inspections,
Well, we can end
and
now.
then I'm going to go into a little more detail about the announced compliance inspection, because that's what's going on right now.
Thanks, Manel. And since we have an intimate crowd,
The current
people
numbers
should
of
feel
inspections
free to
taking
raise
place
their hand or chime
throughout
in,
the state,
share their thoughts, ask the
where to
questions,
get assistance,
rather
and
than
hopefully
waiting
we'll
till
have
the
some
end,
time for questions
because we
afterwards.
want to talk about what's of
And,
interest to you,
and I'll
what's on your
forewarn you
minds.
right now, some of these
It's a
questions
provocative
you might have, I
topic.
don't know if I'll be able to
And,
answer all your
prompts
questions
me
up
before
here.
I jump
But if
into,
we don't, we're going to
timeline
write
that,
them down,
I put
and we'll
together
provide
showing
responses in
recent events
writing. Because
to
I know
reflect a
if
little bit on
anyone
what
in here
happened
has
leading
one
up to
question,
1992. I
someone
mean,
who's
we
not in
had
here will
the-
also have that same question, and we want to be
For those
responsive.
that have been involved
We
with the
do plan to
sector
put
since the
Q&As up on our
1980s,
website regarding
during
compliance
the late
inspections.
1980s
We're
and
gathering those
leading up to the
questions
1992
from those
reauthorization of the Higher
institutions that are
Education Act, there were
undergoing
extensive
inspections right
hearings and
now.
investigations
So those will be
conducted
going
by
up in the
Senator
future.
Sam Nunn's committee, Senate
Okay.
committee,
Let's see if
it's
this
called the
doesn't
Senate
skip
Permanent Committee
anything.
on
Okay,
Investigation.
the difference between compliance
And it's actually the
inspections and
successor
complaint
committee to the old
investigations.
McCarthy,
There truly
committee
is a
that conducted
difference,
those
and I want you to have that
during the
clarity,
Cold War.
because
Uh,
many
and
people
that
use
committee,
inspections and investigations as meaning the
convened a
same
series
thing
of hearings
interchangeably.
at
Compliance
which,
inspections,
witnesses
we're
testified
actually checking for your
regarding,
institution's compliance
abusive
with
recruiting
minimum
practices and
requirements in the
substandard
government code
educational
and related
programs
regulations.
and,
We're pointing
people
out
that were
the
pulled off
areas
of
you're
welfare
deficient in.
lines
You're
and,
given the
schools that were,
opportunity to make these
foreign
corrections
programs that were offered
within a
really
certain
just for
amount
the
of
purpose
time.
of securing federal
We
funds.
actually issue at the
And it
end of an
created a
on-site
wave
compliance
of,
inspection with
out-
a form
of
called a notice to
concern
comply.
and,
It's like a fix-it
a
ticket.
backlash
You have
that
30
culminated
days
in the
to come into
1992
compliance with
reauthorization
those
of the Higher
minor
Education Act,
violations.
which was sort of a watershed event.
There's
in
bureau
the
staff
sector,
available. You're
because at
actually
that point in
assigned
time,
an
the incentive
analyst from the
compensation
get-go
prohibition
for
was
you to
enacted,
call if you have
and we saw
questions. The
90/10
analyst doesn't
enacted,
have the
and we
answer, and they
saw
very
the
well may not, because we're new at
the
this,
time it was-
that
it
they
was
will
actually
get back to you, and they'll
85/15.
get back to you
It was even
promptly.
more onerous.
Okay, so
We
that's
saw,
compliance
a
inspections.
strengthening of the
That's
cohort
what we're
default rate
undergoing
rules,
right now, and that's what I'm going to be
it-
covering
there
this
were
morning.
fundamental
But I did want to
changes,
let you know what
brought
complaint
to bear
investigations are.
that,
That's performed by a
created,
completely different
all
unit
kinds of
within
new
the enforcement
restrictions,
section. And some of you may have
eligibility
experienced this
criteria
too. They're
for,
much more targeted.
career colleges.
They're based
And
on
so,
alleged
during the period
violations,
after
typically
that,
from
and
a complaint,
I'm sort of reflecting
typically
on this
from a
because
student,
it's-
but not
it's
always.
another
It could even
exercise
come
in
from
deja
another
vu all
school.
over again, obviously.
But we
during the period of time
investigate,
after
it's
that
targeted, it's
1992
focused on where we
reauthorization, when so many
believe
new
the
restrictions,
violation may be.
statutory
If
regulatory
it
provisions
grows
been
as we do
enacted,
the investigation,
there
it may
was,
expand. We are not on a witch
lot of,
hunt. It
upheaval
is
and
focused.
shrinkage, tumult
If
in the sector
violations are
throughout, I'd say
determined
throughout
from an
the 1990s.
investigation, those
As
result
schools adjusted to the
in
new
a
standards,
citation,
particularly with the cohort default rate
anywhere from
criteria,
$50 to
which,
$5,000,
resulted in,
and you still need to fix the
dozens of
violation,
institutions, closing
or
because they
formal
lost
disciplinary
access to,
action,
loan
which we
funding.
may be seeking revocation of an
And
educational
I would say,
program,
you know, culminating
revocation of an
some
approval
9
to
years later
operate,
in 2001, there was a big
or we
company
may
called
even be
Computer Learning
seeking
Centers. It was a publicly traded
immediate
company
action
that went
through an
from,
ISO PC through 23.
operating
There's
in
other
about
alternatives where we
25
can move
states with
quickly
like
when we
10,000
believe
students
there is student
to
harm
overnight
occurring right then, and
shuttering
we
its
need to
doors
protect them.
across the country and
That's
filing
all
a Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
Investigations. Okay,
You know,
now,
very
that doesn't
unusual
mean some
circumstance
of
for a
these
big
schools that are
publicly traded
undergoing a
company
compliance
to go
inspection,
straight
we're going to
into
bring them
Chapter
all
7
totally
without
into
even trying to
compliance.
reorganize.
If they have some major
But from there
violations
on
going
out,
on, it will
things,
kick over also
you know,
into the
companies have become more
investigative side.
sophisticated, had adjusted to the new criteria.
Okay,
There-
so
there has
compliance
been a
inspections,
period- there was a
complaint,
period of,
investigations.
of
Now you know the difference. This is our authority. Okay, the California Private Post-Secondary Education Act of 2009. It mandates the Bureau to determine an institution's compliance and to perform announced and unannounced inspections at least every 2 years. We are required to do this. Additionally, Section 94932 provides the authority for us to obtain the reports, send staff out to your sites, require documents and responses in order for us to monitor your compliance. And then in the regulations, we're mandated to make the first inspection an announced inspection. And you're subject to the same number of inspections in a 2-year span. So you're guaranteed to get at least one unannounced inspection within 2 years after you go through your announced inspection. There may be more, but it will be equal. Okay, now I'm going to go into, so now you know the authority that we have, what kind of big picture there. There are 2 types of compliance inspections. Let's see if this works. Okay. The announced compliance inspection is what you're going through right now. How many of you are going through it right now in this room? Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, on an announced compliance inspection, it starts with a letter, as you know, notification. But here's the difference between announced and unannounced. The announced, you will know ahead of time when that inspector is going to arrive on your campus. It's comprehensive. It reviews all of our laws, all the minimum requirements that you must abide by in the California Private Post-Secondary Act and also the related regulations. It is a 2-step inspection. The first part is what we call the desk inspection. We try to get the things that can be done from a distance done first. That is the documents that you can submit to us and we can review, like your enrollment agreements, catalogs, certain policies, procedures, information. That's where you submit it to us within a certain time frame, and then our office will review it and get back to you whether we still need further information or not. Once that's completed, it moves to the on-site inspection. Typically a different person doing the on-site. It's an actual inspector from our office. They will schedule the visit. There'll be visual inspection, interviews, document and file reviews while they're on site. And as I go through these slides, we're going to go into more details of all this. Okay, the unannounced inspections are exactly what they say, what it says. They're unannounced. We're going to show up. And that, what I think I didn't cover is the announced inspections, the entire cycle from the time you get that first letter to the time we're done and you get your inspection report, about 4.5 months. The unannounced compliance inspection, we show up, typically in and out within a day, and it's more focused. It may be on the areas that you did not have in compliance the first time. It may not. It's unannounced. Most of them will be done within a day, and you will receive a report sent to you afterwards. Much shorter time frame, though, than the announced ones.